I have an abusive ex, and I refused to be his emergency contact when the hospital called me. Yeah, sounds like a bad thing to do, but let me just tell you, this man was abusive. Well, the story doesn't end there. Make sure you stick to the end, because what the family did when they found out I did not help the hospital, it'll make your blood boil. 3 years ago, I was in a relationship. He was abusive. Did some really deplorable things I found out about later. I made a report, got a restraining order, and have not spoken to him or anyone that knows him in 3 years. A week ago, he was in an accident. His phone was destroyed or could not be accessed, but he had some information in his wallet. He still had me as his emergency contact. I was not aware he's added me as his emergency contact at any point. I got a call on Monday from an unknown number. It was someone from a hospital. They started telling me my ex was in a serious accident. I immediately cut them off and said, "I don't care who this is, don't contact me again." They called back and asked if I could help them get in contact with someone else. At least, I think that's what they wanted. I did not let them finish. I cut them off pretty fast and I said, "I don't care. I hope he dies. Do not contact me again." And I hung up. His sister, we're friendly but I cut contact after the breakup, messaged me yesterday only letting me know that their family hired a lawyer to sue me for refusing to take the hospital's call, causing a delay in his treatment. He also had some allergies and medical details they did not know about, which caused complications and skyrocketed his medical bills. I had no idea about it either. Am I in kind of any trouble here? What's up guys, Mr. Reddito here. There's a complete update for this story. This is a tough situation. So the guy was abusive, but let me know, did he deserve that type of treatment? I would like to hear your response in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here because we do these kind of stories every single day. Here is your update. As of today, all's quiet. Here's the update to clarify a few things and provide more information that sadly came way without my consent. Bumped into an old mutual friend who decided to fill me in. My ex's sister did not contact me maliciously to scare me. Her message was polite and wanted to give me a heads up on her parents' actions, which she did not condone, in case anything came my way. Ex, he was hit by a car while he was jogging at night. He wasn't wearing reflective clothing and wasn't carrying much on him. Phone, key, and wallet. He apparently owns a medical bracelet, but he wasn't wearing it. I don't remember him ever wearing anything on his wrist when we were together. I believe him not wearing his medical bracelet is the nail on the coffin of any duty of involvement from my part in any way, shape, or form. Turns out he's allergic to one of the agents in anesthesia. Either the pain relief, barbiturates, or the anesthetic itself, propofol. I'm using allergic because I'm not sure what the correct term is here. Allergic, intolerant, prone to side effects, I don't know. Friend's words were, he did not respond well to the anesthesia and had an adverse reaction, which complicated things. I will call it allergy for the sake of simplicity. I vaguely remember him mentioning that he's allergic to anesthesia once, when he was taking a knee surgery he had as a child. That's been the extent of my knowledge of his allergy. I did not remember even this information until the friend mentioned the issue. Apparently, when he was under or being prepared for surgery, some other step, the above allergy caused some additional complications that made his procedure more difficult, aggravated the state of his health, and changed the default process, and increased the cost exponentially. I have no contact information of his family or him. I don't remember his parents' names. I never had their numbers. His sister's name is the only one I know because we were friends. Me and her have also never exchanged numbers. Our interaction has always been on Facebook Messenger. His parents believe I knew the information about his allergy and refused to share it with the hospital maliciously, and refused to share their contact information with the hospital, which I do not have. They are stressed and scared because their son's still in the hospital, and angry because they believe some of the additional burden could have been avoided if I've taken the call. They are mistaken, but I understand you cannot reason even with the most otherwise level-headed of people when their child is fighting for their life. That being said, if they proceed with the lawsuit, which I doubt they will, I've given my lawyer, who handled my RO, the heads up, included this update, and we're fully prepared. My ex was down and completely out when I received the heads up from his sister, so he had not orchestrated this. I don't know if he's awake now. Given the above, I doubt his sister is in violation of the RO, since she did not contact me on his or anyone's behalf but her own. She gave me information on her parents' intended actions, so I would not be blindsided. I would not want to get her in trouble either way. Alright guys, so let's read 2 comments from the original post and we'll talk about it and let's see if we agree with this or not. His fault for not updating his emergency contact list. A judge will toss it right out. There's no law that you have to provide information or take anyone's phone calls. Why did he not have his family on there instead? Comment 2 replies to that and says, also, not wearing his medical alert bracelet. My mom has adverse reactions to morphine, not even an allergy. That info is on record at all nearby hospitals and she wears a bracelet because, well, she doesn't want to go through the hellscape that is on her morphine. Guys, I have to say, I do agree with that. I'm not saying that OP made the right decision, but at the same time, I can't say it's OP's fault because she broke no law. She does not have to tell any information, answer any phone calls, but morally, I want to know in the comment section, did she do the right thing? And remember, this ex-boyfriend was abusive. So take that with a salt of grain or grain of salt, whatever you want to say, and tell me your thoughts about this in the comment section down below. There's still one more story that we're going to look at today, guys. 8 years ago, OP thought they had a window creeper and got the police involved to catch him. Well, OP updates about the case 6 years later. Someone has been coming up to my window, which is on the first floor, and knocking on it late at night when I'm alone. I live by myself, and despite calling the cops 4 separate times, I have no idea who would do this to me. The police have put up a camera, so I'm hoping that I catch them soon. They seem to watch me through the window without interacting despite my blinds being closed. The first time it happened, I came home after a long night at work, and 10 minutes after, I actually saw a dark figure at my window, stand there motionless for at least 5 minutes, while I was frozen, unable to move. The next time was pretty similar, except I was up late doing work, after getting home at a weird hour. In both cases, my blinds have been partially open earlier than before, then I left them at work. I could not identify them due to the lighting, just a dark figure that resembled a man. But it scared me crapless, and I got the police involved. I now keep my blinds shut at all times. There's been a clear pattern in terms of the day, of the week, timing, and the pattern of the interaction. Example, knocking multiple times directly on the window. It only seems to happen late at night when I'm alone and my lights are on, which makes it even worse. Additionally, in June, I had a flashlight shone through my window for an extended amount of time. Last week, the knocking started again. Tonight, I just heard all those weird rustling sounds, and the sounds that I've heard pretty close to my window. It also sounded like someone touched my window, although they did not knock. I live in a quiet complex in a quiet area, so typically there's no sounds besides a car driving by. It might be that they found my camera and tried to tamper with it. The police came 20 minutes after, and will be checking the camera tomorrow. I'm just scared and upset that this a-hole is interfering with my life. The police and my landlord are already aware of this, and I don't believe that I can move. Anyone else dealt with the prowler? Have any advice? Update number 1. Alright, so I had the original post about the man knocking on my window and peering into my window watching me late at night. This happened a number of times. The police have been coming to check the footage weekly as a month ago. There had not been anything on it. they were about to remove the camera from the apartment entirely when they checked the footage from the previous 5 days and found an extended video of my creeper playing with himself while peeping into my window on a night that I was alone, and in the apartment swearing that there was a shadow outside my window. I thought it was my paranoia or fear acting up, as usual for the past 5 months. So I ignored it and laid in the dark petrified. Immediately after seeing the footage, they reinstalled the camera and added an additional camera to help with identification, since I could not identify the man in the video and the image quality on the face wasn't too great. They showed the image to my landlord, who was also unable to identify the man. As soon as I saw the image and heard about what he was doing in the video, I fought my urge to vomit and moved immediately. Moving has been a terrible, expensive, and stressful process since I had to break a very tight lease. Luckily, I've worked with a great detective who was able to help me find the appropriate resources to help me cover the financial cost, and has tirelessly worked to solve my case. Today, I received a call that after many weeks the detective working tirelessly to identify the anonymous creeper, that the police have successfully identified and arrested my creeper. Upon questioning about said night, he confessed it all. It's been such a relief not to live in constant fear, not to have super thick curtains blocking outside light from my windows, not to check a video recorder constantly to see if anyone's lurking, and not to worry about being watched as I go about my daily routine. I feel the greatest relief knowing that all this stress and misery has not been for nothing. I'll be testifying at the trial, and I hope there will be justice. I cannot wait to see his face drop at the trial when he sees me. Final update that comes out a few years later. So, I'm the OP of the original post. It's been a while and I figured I'd update you all about what happened after getting my window creeper arrested. The person behind the act was arrested and confessed immediately to the police after being identified publicly. It was nobody I knew, but someone who was illegally living in my apartment complex. Not knowing the person behind the certain crime makes it impossible to press for stalking charges in some places, as stalking laws are typically geared to people who know each other. But there may be other applicable laws. After this came out, the person was immediately evicted. The person did not even know my name yet, did this for months. I don't know if I've ever been so angry before. I was encouraged to see a therapist, which I could not afford at the time. Also, I threatened my landlord with a lawsuit if she did not let me out of my lease immediately. It worked, and I was able to get my deposit back in full. Every court drama warns you that the wheels of justice are slow, and it took months for the case to progress. The prosecutor asked me several times if I wanted to drop the case or allow for a plea deal. I said no. I wanted the person to have a record for this in case they did this to anyone else. They warned me that I might need to go to trial and look the person in the face while testifying. The police did not think I would be able to take it, but I told them I would do it if I had to. The case proceeded through the early stages of the justice system months later. I was able to get free legal advice via a women's advocacy group that connected me with the victim's right lawyer who informed me how the case was likely to go. I also got the opinion of a second lawyer with experience at the prosecutor's office at a local free legal clinic. I searched for every resource that I could to help me dig myself out of the financial hole that is this move from this cursed situation got me into. My workplace ended up helping me from the emergency fund. I pressed for restitution for my moving expenses as well as my future therapy cost. I wrote a letter to the DA and the judge of the case about everything that's happened, the money I've lost, and lastly, the trauma that this has left me with. The person pled guilty to the charges without me having to testify early in the legal process, after being warned that I would testify. I did not get the charges that I hoped for, but the detective who helped me get through this told me that there wasn't sufficient proof, but they would nail the creep next time. The person was ordered to pay restitution for some of my bills. I was able to get some of my money through the other victim advocacy programs. The sum from my therapy is still not fully repaid. A few years later, I Googled the person and found out that they were arrested again for the same exact thing. The police had records of the person's attributes, and given their criminal conviction for a crime of this nature, they were one of the first ones questioned about their whereabouts. They confessed